In a world on fire, thank God for movies. Welcome to Thank God for Movies. I'm John Negroni, film critic based out of the San Francisco Bay Area. And from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, he's also a film critic and a hoppin' good guy. It's Will Ashton.
What up?
Will, how you been doing? It's been a minute.
I know, it's always sad when we don't get to talk movies. I've been trying to push us to do something or another. I was really pushing for us to do Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, but I still don't know what happened exactly. You had a screener for it.
Mm-hmm.
First you had a cold, and you were like, I can't go to the movies. So I'm like, okay.
Right, couldn't go. And then you helped me out with getting the screener. That was really nice. Thank you, Will. And I got the screener, but then it expired within a day, and I didn't realize it. So I emailed them. I was like, hey, I want to watch it still, and I never heard back. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, admittedly, you did get the screener when it was in theaters, so it was kind of nice of you to get it at all, I will say.
Yeah, it's I'm not really something to complain about, right?
So
it didn't quite work out. I will admit, I've been really busy doing TV coverage and watching a lot of TV stuff and reviewing TV more so than movies. And I know, Will, you're giving me that look like you're a traitor. The website's called Thank God for Movies, not John can do whatever he wants without my permission. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not on the TV side of things at the moment. I guess I should say, since the last episode, I got a writing gig at CBR, Comic Book Resources.
That's right. Comic Book Resources. Congratulations, Will Ashton. This is where the applause comes in the sound mixing board. Yeah.
Nice. But yeah, they have me just writing about movies, features at the moment. So if I wasn't watching or talking about TV before, I'm definitely not doing it now. So yeah, I'm definitely behind on all TV stuff. I did see that Smiling Friends is ending, and I never watched the most recent season. That's one of the few shows I was previously up to date on. So I'm real out of the loop TV wise.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fun landscape for TV lately. A lot of big shows like Fallout, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Going to be covering the new Steve Carell HBO show, Rooster. And that premieres literally, it just premiered as we're recording this Sunday night. But
he's not in the one with the David Harbour, DTF St. Louis.
I haven't seen the show yet, so I don't know.
Is that Jason Bateman? I might be getting the two mixed up.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's an HBO show.
Huh?
It's a show on HBO. Isn't Rooster also a show on HBO?
Yeah, Rooster. I don't know if you're connecting Rooster to David Harbour, whatever, but yeah.
There's another show. I think I was getting Steve Carell and Jason Bateman mixed up because I believe David Harbour's in a show with Jason Bateman called DTF St. Louis.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that one. I mean, I have a whole Love is Blind is going on right now. Well, Ash and the reunion's on Wednesday. I don't have time. Just finished Ted season 2. That was pretty fun. Anyway, we are going to be talking about Pixar's Hoppers today on the show. We're also going to do a film roulette segment where we're going to play one of our favorite games on the show, film roulette. First, so we have to announce the winner of our logo, the one that got the most votes. So if y'all don't recall, a few episodes ago, we had a competition for you all to name our new logo, right? So we used to be called Cinemaholics. Now we're Thank God for Movies. And part of our new logo is we have this little reel that's on fire because the world is on fire and so on. And we got all kinds of great entries.
Mm-hmm.
You can check out our last episode. We went through them. Super fun. My favorite was Flamin' Hot Criterio by Madison G. Love it. Wish we could have done it, but it only got a few votes. But there was one that got the most votes, Will Ash. Will Ash doesn't know what it is, so it's going to be a surprise for Will. And Will, drum roll, please. The winner of the logo competition is Hot Shots from Alex D.
That's a good one. That's a good pick.
It's layered. It's layered because you're probably thinking hot shot. Why hot shot? Well, because it's hot and it is a film shot. So
nice.
There you go.
Congratulations.
Hot Shot is now the name of the logo.
Yeah, I like that. I like it. Shoddy.
Yeah, Lil Shoddy. He's going to have all kinds of nicknames.
Shoddy. I like it.
There you go. So that's our new logo.
Shoddy.
Hopefully we've fully transitioned into the new branding and so on. Also, we have some new stuff on the website too. If you want to read some things, my review of The Bride is on thankgodformovies.com. You can check that out. Hated it. I did not like that movie at all. But you can read my thoughts on it. I gave it a bit of a smackdown. And then also today, we're recording this on March 8th. It's the 30th anniversary of Fargo, one of my favorite movies. one of the best movies of the 90s and, beyond, really.
Yeah,
Yeah, Fargo, 30
one of
years.
my
I wrote
top
an anniversary piece about it.
yeah, it's one of my top 4 Letterboxd movies. I love that. It's my one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, I figured you would. You haven't read it just dropped it today, so I'm curious if you're gonna, have any weird reactions to it. I
Oh,
tried to fill it with some like weird facts I found when I was
yeah.
researching the movie, and some cool stories, and just trying to like analyze it from a new perspective because I've only seen the movie a few times. I feel like every time I've seen it, I get something really new out of it. That's like, I guess it's a trope at this point of like you see new things every time you watch a movie every once in a while. It really is like that with Fargo, though. It's like I'm watching a totally different movie from when I watched it in my 20s, but yeah.
It's just yeah, I rewatched it not that long ago. I feel like the older I get, the sadder it gets. Like, it's still really funny. It's like hilariously funny at times, but I think the tragedy seeps in deeper and deeper the older I get. And also I think the tenderness of the marriage between John Carroll Lynch and
March
Frances
Gunderson.
McDormand, yeah, is just the older I get, I find that more affecting, I think.
I think you'll like the anniversary piece. A lot of it is about that. And yeah, it's too bad we don't have Extra Milestone going on
Mm,
anymore. That would be a really good contender,
yeah.
no doubt. Let's play a game of Film Roulette, though, because Film Roulette lets us go back in time a little bit sometimes. So Film Roulette's a game
Who won
where go ahead,
I was gonna say, who was the person that picked Hot Shot?
Alex D.
Alex D. Okay, I just wanna make sure they got the shout out that they
I
deserve.
did. I said Alex D. I think
Okay.
twice.
Okay, fair enough.
I think you were just so overwhelmed with euphoria and joy.
Yeah, I was so caught up in doing the drum roll correctly that I must have
Makes
missed
sense.
the yeah.
But yeah, so Film Roulette. Film Roulette is a game where I have a list of movies here. They're movies that, either Will Ashton has seen like recently, or I throw in maybe like a little bit of a guess. Like, I don't know. It's a mix of things, some older movies, some newer, mostly newer movies. And I've written down a guess of like whether or not Will liked it or not. So like roulette, it's either red or black. Red means he didn't like it. Black means he did. It has to be binary. So it's like a 0 or a 1. And so I already wrote down all my guesses. And my goal is to try to do better every week. So there you go. Will Ashton, the first one. Are you ready for Film Roulette?
Oh, I'm always ready.
Okay. Well, here's the first one. It is a movie that I refuse to watch. And everyone I know who has asked me, like, hey, should I watch it? I have told them probably not. Wuthering Heights.
Oh, okay, yeah. I didn't like it. No, I was in the black for that one. Or wait, no.
Black is good.
That's
So
sorry. I
red,
was in the red. I knew I was gonna mix it up. I think I'm gonna mix this up permanently until the game ceases or whatever, or and
that's
maybe it'll
fine.
cease when I finally get it correct. Wuthering Heights, yeah. I mean, I've read some of the book. I haven't read the full book. Have you read Emily
No,
Bronte's Wuthering Heights? I know it's obviously like only the first half of the book, and that it's in quotations the title, so it's not trying to be a proper adaptation. If anything, it's like glorified fan fiction. And there's stuff in the movie I genuinely like. Like, I like the sets a lot. I really like how much the like Wuthering Heights set kind of looks like an old fashioned, like almost like period piece sort of. I mean, obviously the whole thing's a period piece, but like the beginning of the movie adopts sort of like a Ken Russell kind of approach, and the movie itself kind of takes a more, I don't want to say traditional, but like traditional by Emerald Fennell's standards. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I knew I liked with reservations Promising Young Woman. Like, I think it falls apart at the end, but I think it's solid for like the first 2/3. And I think it's because that movie is like, at least trying to say something. And I felt like Saltburn and this movie have been more about the provocative nature of it to some fashion. And I feel like Saltburn's a film where it feels like someone's telling you the plot of Talented Mr. Ripley, and halfway through they like get a brain injury and they forget like what they've already told you. And they're like, and here's the twist. He's crazy. And it's like, well, you said at the beginning that he's crazy. It's like, I should probably go to the hospital.
now don't forget, Will Ashton, for Film Roulette, these are only supposed to be a couple sentences.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
That's why I put the meaty one at the beginning.
Sure. But yeah, all that to say, there's stuff about it I like. I think Jacob Elordi's good. Miscast, obviously, because I think, I know that character's described as not traditionally white, in the book. I think there was a big missed opportunity to cast someone of color, not only because it would be accurate to the book, but just because I think a lot of the texture of Heathcliff's character comes from that divide of, the differences in his class and culture and particularly his race. And, it just, these absences just kind of produce a dull film because it's all pretty to look at, but it feels like there's just no texture to it in a thematic sense. I didn't care for it. I'll wrap it up there.
I will remind you one more time. Just 1 or 2 sentences. I like how I was like, 1 or 2 sentences, and you're like, yeah, got it. Here's 2 paragraphs. Okay, this one I don't think will be as involved, but it would be if I was the one who was talking about it, because I love this movie. 10 Things I Hate About You from 2001.
Yeah, I just saw that movie not that long ago. I thought it was all right.
But red or black?
I would say black.
Yeah, there we go.
It's witty, it's fun, it's dated. I do appreciate, as I said on Letterboxd, it's the first and maybe only Shakespeare adaptation to respect the bard's love of bare naked ladies. And it's nice to see Heath. I miss him.
Oh, yeah, that's a formative movie for me. I watched it a lot growing up. All right, here's the next one. Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Well, I like that movie. It's fun. It's good to see Gore Verbinski back. I miss the guy as well.
The Caribbean director, yeah.
Yeah, and perfectly cast Sam Rockwell.
Very nice. Yeah, I still want to see it, and I would not be immune to having a conversation with you about it either on the mic or off. All right, here's another one. This is another newer release, one that I don't plan to see because look at the time. Joe's College Road Trip.
Oh, man. Well, I could say a lot about the movie, and I know you don't want me to for a number of reasons. I will say better than the last few Tyler Perry movies, still a bad film.
So red?
Yeah, but it is, if like the last few Tyler Perry movies were like deep red, this is more of a like maroon red.
Okay, well, here's another recent movie. I know nothing about this movie, or I didn't know anything about this movie until I saw on Letterboxd that you had seen it. It's called The Lost Bus.
Oh, okay. This was nominated for Best Visual Effects. I'm trying to catch up for the Oscars. Paul Greengrass directed this one. It's an Apple Film company that you
I still hadn't heard of it.
Work for. It's fine. I actually thought the special effects weren't really that great, to be honest.
Wait, red or black though?
A gray black.
Dang, I got this one wrong. I put red.
I don't know. I kind of go back and forth on it, but I think I've liked it more.
We got to go with your first instinct. Yeah. I'll take the hit. Here's one that I do want to see at some point. I had a chance to see it, didn't get to, but Pillion. I don't know how you say that.
Pillion, yeah. Good movie. A fun twist on the comedy of manners. With what's being called a dom-com. The director described it as his take on Wallace and Gromit. I don't know if I fully understand it, but I think that's a fun way to look at the film. Perfectly cast Alexander Skarsgård for that as well, and very good casting for Henry Mellon, who played Dudley in the Harry Potter films, or at least the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, I was so sad because this is around when I got sick. I was supposed to go see the San Francisco premiere of this, and it was at the Castro Theater, one of our best theaters. And I had a chance to actually meet Harry Melling and the director. I forget his name, but yeah, because they had like a red carpet thing, and I got sick. And I was also invited to the after party. I would have been able to schmooze it up, and I missed my chance. Maybe next time.
I bet that would have been a naughty after party.
That's right. I remember Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Yeah. Well, I think Henry Leighton is the director and writer of Pillion. Okay. I could be wrong. I thought that's the guy's name.
Yeah, so I'm assuming that's black?
Oh, yeah, no, that's black. Yeah, it's a good movie.
All right. Coffee black. This next one, another one I only know because you logged it very recently. This is a film from 2003. I haven't seen it. I know for sure it's a black. There's no way it's not. A Mighty Wind.
Well, it's a good movie, yeah. I watched that. I mean, it's one I've been meaning to see for a while, but because Catherine O'Hara died, I finally went to cross that one off my list. It was playing at a local repertoire theater. I believe they played the full screen DVD of the film, which I was a little miffed about, but otherwise, it was lovely to see that film.
All right, this next one, maybe I'm playing it because I think it's a short film, but I still want to bring it up. Retirement Plan.
Oh, yeah, that's nominated for Best Animated Short Film. Yeah, it's a short in our program that we're playing at theater right now. Yeah, it's fun. I like that movie.
I heard that's the one to watch. I want to see it.
I think Butterfly is the best one of the ones that are nominated. I don't know if that's going to win, but that one's good. It's like somebody I follow. I apologize. I can't think of his name, but I know he writes for the film stage. He described it as like if like someone animated a McSweeney article,
Wow.
but like in a good way.
Sounds fun.
It captures the spirit of the article in animation form. But it's like most of it's like written out. Like it feels like you're kind of reading, like you've seen someone animate a story in a good way.
I recently wrote a McSweeney parody story that I still haven't submitted. I keep forgetting to submit it to them. I'll tell you the name of it. I have to tell you the name of it because it's so you're gonna
You're
get a kick out
gonna
of it. I think.
pitch this to them?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's called. Oh yeah, for the last time, I'm not avoiding my daughter.
Okay.
You'll see. They'll all see. All right, well, Ashton. Nirvana the band to show the movie.
A good movie. I would play in the black. I feel like I'm not as in love with it as some folks are. And I think it's just because I think it's more amusing than outright funny. There are a few extremely funny moments. I don't think it's like consistently as funny as some people make it seem. But and I know I'm going a little extra, but I'll just say I think usually with comedies, you focus on how funny they are and the craftsmanship of it kind of is secondhand. Like it's like, okay, like, they got the footage they needed to get the last. I think the craftsmanship for Nirvana, the band, to show the movie is honestly pretty stellar. What they pull off with like guerrilla filmmaking, or old archive footage mixed with new footage, balancing tone with like a story that they're telling on the fly is really like incredible. And as far as how they made it, I feel like as a movie, it's more good and great, but I liked it.
All right. Well, that's Film Roulette. Well, Ashton, I got 8 out of 9 correct. That's the best I've done yet. I only got one wrong. The Lost Bus. Mainly because I had no idea what it was. But there you go. All right. Well, I think that's good enough reason for us to hop into our main review of the week. And that is Hoppers. Now, Will Ashton, I'm going to say this up front.
Okay.
I do think that this is one of those Pixar originals that sounds on paper like somebody lost a dare, right? You know those meetings when they're having like story pitches? And I just feel like this is one of those premises that is just so odd that I'm actually pretty surprised that Pixar went with it. So the whole thing is kind of fashioned around scientists have invented this technology that allows humans to hop their consciousness into these lifelike robotic animals. It's like Avatar, but and they invoke Avatar at one point as part of the
Oh, yeah.
self-aware meta joke of it. But what the reason they do that is it's all a means to essentially go undercover in the animal kingdom by becoming the animals themselves. So that brings us to the main character, a young woman named Mabel Tanaka, voiced by Piper Curda. I wasn't as familiar with her. I know she's been in some stuff. One of them being what was it? It was a movie May December. She had a small role in that.
Oh, was
She was
she
one of
in?
the kids.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, considering the, who her parents were in that movie. Anyway, she plays this 19-year-old who's dealing with the grief after the death of her grandmother. Her grandmother taught her to love the natural world. It is a great cold open, by the way. Super, super effective, hooks you right away. And the main plot, though, is there's this Mayor Jim, played by Jon Hamm, of course. He's this kind of development-minded mayor, kind of skeezy Gavin Newsom sort of guy. And he has like this very like smooth talking civic smugness. Oh, you're right. I already said Gavin Newsom. But anyway, he wants to bulldoze a wildlife preserve to build a freeway that'll save 4 minutes of commuting. It's hilarious. Mabel uses this hopping technology then to infiltrate this kind of glade. It's called a glade. So it's like a natural preservation site. And her goal is to fake being a robotic beaver to try to convince the wildlife to come back, and that'll prevent the construction happening, right? So trying to save the forest from the inside. Once she gets there, the film basically turns into this madcap woodland political comedy. It's actually a bunch of different kinds of movies, all looped into one. It's like the anti-bride in that way, because the bride kind of does that too, where it's like way too many things. But this movie does it and gets away with it, weirdly. I don't know. She meets a bunch of like colorful characters. There's a beaver named Loaf, voiced by Eduardo Franco, who's no notes. A bear named Ellen, voiced by Melissa Villaseñor, who just kind of, I feel like those characters kind of disappear in the movie, unfortunately, but they were very fun. But really, the heavy hitter here is King George, voiced by Bobby Moynihan. I said this in my review. One of my favorite supporting Pixar characters ever. I love him so much. He's the head beaver of this like habitat. You're going to say?
No, I was agreeing. I think he rocks.
He's so great. And he shows up at just the right moment. Yeah. There's this also like this broader animal council setup thing with figures. Like they're all different kings of different parts of the ecosystems. You have the insect queen voiced by Meryl Streep, which yes, that makes perfect sense. And yeah, I feel like this movie is very much Pixar going full weird, giving itself permission to be a bit weird again. It has that same energy of how weird and random like Up and Ratatouille are. Because like when you really analyze like what Ratatouille is doing, it's kind of bonkers. You know, like a rat is controlling a human, and then also like with Up, it's like this old man tying balloons to his house. It's like it's just so weird. Like it's just so like how did you even come up with that? And this is Pixar's 30th animated feature, which is kind of wild to say out loud. You know, the studio's been making movies for as long as we've been alive. I mean, I'm just a few years older than Toy Story, for example, and that was 1995. But we've gotten pretty far away from that moment where every original Pixar release feels like this seismic event. It's just not like that anymore. It hasn't really been like that since maybe Toy Story 4 came out. And it was kind of
I
like,
mean,
oh, okay.
the
Yeah.
sad thing is that like this kind of feels secondary to Toy Story 5, which is coming out later this year. I feel like
And it comes out in June. Yeah.
I honestly and not to say anything about the movie, but just I think rather the marketing of it, I was kind of forgetting about this one. I remember seeing a little ad for it at the end of Elio, but like until it was coming close to the release date, I was like kind of oblivious to it. I don't think I ever actually saw an official trailer for it, to be honest.
Yeah. The marketing was so spare. It was so sparse. And as soon as I saw that it was getting the March release date, I was like, ooh, yeah. Because Elio didn't do very well. Elemental did okay, and, you know, Lightyear was a disaster. Inside Out 2 is paying those electric bills, right? Like, and that was the only kinda sequel that they've had in the last several years, so, yeah. And then they had that slew of movies from 2022 from Onward, which got, like, a week in theaters, all the way to Turning Red, great movie, but straight to Disney Plus, and
Mhm.
we weren't back in the theater game for Pixar until Lightyear, and that was a disaster. So
Mhm.
it's just been tough. Pixar has been kind of in a wasteland, a bit of a in the wilderness, you know, pun intended, I suppose. And even before we get into like whether the movie works, where it kind of lands in this moment is actually a really interesting question to me because the big question hanging over the studio has been, can original Pixar movies still matter theatrically in the way they used to? We know the sequels can, right? Inside Out 2 proved that. We're getting Incredibles 3, Toy Story 5, of course, coming out this summer. There's going to be another Monsters Inc. that they announced.
Yeah.
But original films, that's shakier ground, right?
Yeah. No, I mean it's yeah, I especially after Elio bombed, I really didn't know if we were gonna get many more of these kind of films. It kind of felt like Hoppers slipped through the cracks just because it was already mostly done and you know, it was probably just like, we saw what happens when we try to put these on Disney Plus, you know, like I think they want to commit to theatrical just because they've kind of realized through trial and error that you know, putting any of their movies, I think, exclusively on Disney Plus doesn't give them any money. Even if they bomb in theaters, they make some money as opposed to like zero money, as opposed to like, you know, the potential for new subscribers.
Well, there's only one more Pixar original for sure that's like titled it's going to happen summer 2027 next year. That's going to be Gato. So from the people who made
Oh, yeah.
Luca.
Yeah.
You know, Luca, one of my favorite Pixar films from the last decade, honestly. So I am looking forward to that. Give me Pixar Italian. We know those work out. But then yeah, then it's going to be like Incredibles 3, Coco 2, Monsters Inc. 2, I guess, because University was a prequel. There are a couple more like rumblings. Like there's one called Ono Ghost Market, or it might be called that. That's super early in the process. Also, Domi Shi's next thing, which
Yeah.
is maybe going to be a musical. But this is years down the line because I think the stuff we like Coco 2, I think is 2029. So we are going to be in a bit of a sequel, you know, slip and slide for the next few years, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to eat our vegetables, I guess, so Pixar can continue to exist.
Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping this one at least gets some proper attention. I feel like the reviews have been stronger for this one, at least from what I've heard, but I don't want to get ahead of us or get
Yeah, I got a lot more setup, unfortunately. There's a lot to talk about with Ashton. Yeah, so yeah, to all that to say, Hoppers is arriving with a lot of institutional pressure on it, a lot of eyeballs on it in terms of how is it going to do. It really isn't just another Pixar release. It does feel like a test case. It feels like this could really impact what happens next for Pixar moving forward. In fact, I don't know why I haven't even looked at the box office and how it did in its first weekend. So I'm going to bring it up here because that is important. Yeah, 88 million worldwide. Not amazing. Not
That's not bad.
terrible, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's pretty good. I mean, that's better than what Elio opened with.
Right, and that was a summer release. Yeah, I think one of the issues is that Super Mario Galaxy is coming out soon, and I think that's going to really overshadow the animated movie market because
Well,
that's going to do like probably more than double the opening of this movie.
but that's April.
Yeah, I think that's in like 2-3
So,
weeks.
yeah, at least they have
Or
like a
yeah,
month
yeah,
to kind of
yeah, yeah.
pick
You're right.
things
You're right.
up.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking it's late March for some reason. So yeah, maybe we're okay. Phew, thanks, Will. Anyway, so this movie was directed by Daniel Chong. He created We Bare Bears. Did you ever watch We Bare Bears at any point?
I know of it because that's the one with Dimitri Martin.
Yeah, and he's in this movie.
Oh, is he?
Small role, but huh?
He's in it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's in this movie. He plays the character. I think I have it right here. He plays some of the voices of the birds. He's not like a titled character that I'm aware of.
I thought maybe he was there's like a quick gag with like a bug with a really deep voice. I thought maybe it was him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that does make sense that he was some of the birds. I could see that.
But yeah, I've never seen We Bare Bear. I think I saw 1 or 2 episodes like back in, I don't know, maybe it was 2016, 2017. But I've seen a lot of the memes, because it had a little bit of that cultural impact, I guess. People really love it. And I think, it makes perfect sense for him to jump into the Pixar universe. I think genius actually, because I think that his brand, like his skill level, is mixing sweetness with absurdity and like chaotic ensemble energy. And that is so Pixar. He brings like a unique spin on that, but that's like Finding Nemo, right? Like Finding Nemo has like sweetness, it has that pathos, but it's also very absurd and it's also like chaotic and unpredictable. And that's what we really like about it. And that's one of the most encouraging things about this movie, I think, that it could grow. It doesn't sound like a film that was like a lot of the sequels, like reverse engineered in some lab to hit all these quadrants and sell a bunch of toys. In some way that I felt like Elio kind of was too, where they just really like messed with that thing until it just became a hollow shell of itself. Still somewhat enjoyable, but not really, it's not what we wanted. Not what I wanted
Yeah,
for sure.
and I don't know if you even saw Pete Docter had some comments recently about it where it's like movies shouldn't be therapy or something, which are I don't know. I usually like Pete Docter, but I can't say I found those comments to be kind of disgusting. I didn't read the full
He's been saying
interview.
he's been a bit more questionable as of late. Yeah.
Okay, but
The stuff around like trying to like he's felt a little bit more reactionary and more sensitive to this idea of like the right wing backlash to some of these movies and how there's always these like culture wars that don't really matter that most normies don't care about but just get whipped up online, right? And like a lot of that happened with Turning Red for instance,
yeah.
like a lot of hooting and hollering about that movie and what did it really amount to? Like
I
nothing.
wonder maybe it's just like Bob Iger's kind of breathing down his neck a little bit, and he's just like
I
taking it
think
out
so. Yeah.
on like other people, maybe.
It's a shame, it's a shame, and I think, with this movie, this one does have, like, an actual comedic sensibility behind it. It's easily, like, one of the funniest of the Pixar movies. Like, it's in that, like, category of, like, you have Toy Story 2, again, Finding Nemo, like, Turning Red, I think, is in this category too. Like, these are just kind of the more sort of, like, we're comedies. Like, we're gonna fully embrace being comedies, not kinda like this sort of more dramatic comedy drama that you do kind of get with like Monsters Inc. is kind of like a comedy like that too, but it's not quite as like all the way with it. But
Uh,
like it
yeah,
has jokes,
no, I'd
but
say Monster Things is a comedy.
it's a comedy. But I don't know. I feel like
It's
it's
a
not
workplace
comedy isn't the
comedy.
priority with that.
I don't know. I think it's still a comedy through and through. It's a workplace comedy. And it's like a high concept comedy.
I don't know. I guess maybe I cried more during that movie than you did. I don't know. Anyway,
Comedies can be emotional. I'm not saying there aren't dramatic moments in it, but like I would say it's as much of a comedy as Finding Nemo is.
but I think Finding Nemo and Toy Story 2, like, there's something different about, to me, the level of comedy. Like, how smart and effective the comedy is. because when I think of Monsters Inc., I don't think of how funny that movie is.
Oh, I
Whereas like
disagree.
Finding Nemo, I think about how funny it is. I think Finding Nemo is built on so many jokes. And like Incredibles the same way. Like Incredibles, I think of like, yeah, that's a really fun like action movie, and it's funny at times and it's dramatic at other times, I guess.
Oh, no, I guess I see the humor more in Monsters Inc. than you do, I
I
guess.
get it. It's Bill Crystal. I understand. I mean,
Bill.
he's one of the ghosts for a reason. Anyway.
So,
Daniel Chong did reportedly he pitched a few ideas with this movie. And this one was the one he thought was like too bizarre to even ask. And that makes sense to me. And I think there's a lovely detail too in the development of this movie. Apparently, the protagonists were supposed to be penguins. So bringing up Pete Docter again, he was actually the one who pushed back on that. And he essentially said, yeah, honestly, like the world has enough penguin movies, which like fair enough. Like I think that is an example of Pete Docter kind of like I agree with that 100%. I think that going with beavers works so much better. Like I really liked Angry Beavers growing up. I know you didn't grow up with cable, but that was a great little cartoon. It was like one of the Nickelodeon cartoons that like not a lot of people watched, but it kind of had that energy. It was like the weirder one. And if you found somebody else who liked it, it was like you were part of a tribe, if that makes sense. Were you even aware of Angry Beavers growing up?
I knew of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I never got a chance to watch it.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't say you got to go out of your way, but I do like beavers in general are just very interesting animals. They're like ecosystem engineers, which this movie gets
Okay.
into. And I think that's kind of what gives the film its spine. Like, I don't think this movie works if you don't have like the beaver side of it.
We
You're
got,
smiling at me like you want to make a beaver joke.
no, I was gonna say, David Attenborough over here talking about animals all of a sudden.
I
More
like
like,
beavers. I always like beavers.
"Okay, calm down, this is a family show."
What can I say? But yeah, I think that's what because like this has a big environmental angle here, but it doesn't feel like a servant. It just feels like part of the story structure, if that makes sense. Like the beavers matter because what they do matters. I think that's a crucial distinction because the danger in a movie like this is that it can feel like it's being preachy, like it's pleased with its own righteousness.
Also, like, beavers lend itself to the metaphor of, like, they can take something that's broken and rebuild and, like, fix and come together and stuff. It makes sense, in a allegorical, metaphorical, or whatever sort of way.
Yeah, in a meta way, it's like they gotta fix up Pixar. Daniel
Sure,
Chong
yeah.
was like, I know what'll save Pixar's branding.
A party.
We gotta get some beavers here. We gotta build this dam to keep out all the damn sequels. There you
Do you
go.
think he was blasting everybody's working for the weekend in the office while they were making the movie?
I would hope so. But yeah, I think it's a playful movie. It's more playful than it is preachy. The environmentalism is there clearly, but it comes through the character and the conflict rather than all the speeches. There's a satirical edge to the premise I think is really cool. The mayor's whole like grand project and like saving the commuters 4 minutes. It's like it's so like existentially funny because it kind of just as an adult it hits you on that like of course but like I'm
Sure.
sure as like a kid it's like that's funny, you know what I mean.
I like that his name is just Mayor Jerry. Like, I can't figure out if it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, how some mayors just get, like Mayor Rob or, like, Mayor Tom, where it's just, like, people know him for their first name, or if it's, like, a Mario Brothers thing where his last name is Jerry, but people just call
Well,
him Jerry.
his last name is like Generazzo, but
Was it? Oh,
I
okay.
thought I thought it was a reference to Parks and Recreation because
Possibly.
Parks and Recreation has a character who named Jerry who becomes mayor, and that's like a big part of the show, and he's
I
Mayor
mean,
Jerry.
there are a lot of SNL voice actors here. I don't remember any Parks and Rec voice actors here.
That we mentioned Bobby Moynihan and let's see, yeah,
Cicely
Melissa
Strong?
Villaseñor, Ego Wotum. Yeah, it's three right there.
Who?
Vanessa Bayer
No, okay, sorry, it was
voices
Vanessa
the
Bayer.
shark.
It's Denise, I think, right? Or whatever the shark's name is.
Diane, I think.
Oh, Diane,
But
that's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think it's cool, and I think Jon Hamm. I'm going to say something slightly controversial. I think he does a good job. I don't think he was the best voice actor for this. Like there were a few times where I was like, I don't know if that voice is voicing for me. I don't know. I don't know what it was. Like I felt like he was doing a lot with it and it works like half the time, in my opinion.
You know how people always ask, like, who is a character actor in a leading man's body? I think I've just decided that is Jon Hamm. Like, he really wants to be a silly guy. He wants so badly to be a silly guy. You see him in Bridesmaids and, like, the Wet Hot American Summer show and stuff in SNL and on 30 Rock. He like wants to be a silly guy, but
Even
people are
Friends
like,
and Neighbors, he gets silly at times. I haven't seen it, but
yeah.
yeah.
But like everyone's just like, no, you have to be the handsome leading man in our dramatic series. And he's like, but I want to be a silly goober. And you can see, or rather hear in him in this movie, he's like, I'm going to be a silly goober. I thought he did a nice job. I don't really take any issue with his performance. I didn't feel like he couldn't be replaced. Like I felt like, you could have gotten someone else to do as good, if not better of a job, but I thought he was fine. As opposed to like Bobby Moynihan, who like just crushes it in this. He's so good in his voice performance.
On top of that, we do also have Dave Franco, who plays one of the insect characters. I forget his name. It's like Theodius or something. I don't even remember. And then also Sam Richardson, who I like and you always complain about.
What?
And then Aparna Nancherla is in this too. Yeah. Fun mix of a cast.
What are you slandering me with claiming I don't like Sam Richardson? What's this?
I brought him up before and you were just like, oh yeah, I don't like him.
No, I think he's great. He's always so funny on I Think You Should Leave. I still need to watch Detroiters, but I think he's funny.
I think it would be fun if we did a Detroiters podcast watch because it's so short.
Am probably never going to do another TV podcast once we finish the Mad Men one.
Why? It's so fun.
It's taken so long, and I don't even know if we're ever going to finish it.
We'll finish it. Yeah, the score. The score is by Mark Mothersbaugh. Classic Nickelodeon. Think Rugrats, 90s in general, and that's the movie. That's kind of what it's getting into. I like this movie. I think my only big take on this one is I think it's not that effective for the time we're in. I don't know. I feel like the overall message of it and what it's trying to say and how it says it, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of doing that whole like, let's figure this darn thing out together sort of thing. And I just feel like this, I wrote in my Letterboxd review, this would have gone so hard in 2015. Like it's kind of got that energy. I think this movie is saved by how funny it is. It is very funny. Like I would just rewatch it just to have a nice time. There's a lot of really good jokes. I was laughing quite a bit throughout the whole thing. And that's the reason to watch it, But I don't think it's like super special. I don't think it's like one of those movies that's going to like really last the test of time. I think it's going to be a nice little trivia question of like, oh yeah, I like that Pixar movie. It's funny.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be stronger on the Pixar movie than Jon, Pixar Theory, Negroni, but I think this is like probably their best film in a minute.
I feel like, yeah, that's the consensus. I'm a little bit more sour on it, I guess.
I mean,
I've seen other people just love it.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think this is like an A+ return to form for Pixar. I think it's like a strong B+ Pixar. But I just thought it was like a real breath of fresh air after their last few. Like I liked Inside Out 2 well enough. I think it's good. Maybe even a little better than some people give it credit. I feel like there's something else that came out within that timeline that I'm not as. I guess Elio was like all right. It was fine. But I feel like they've just been on a real slump after Turning Red. Like they had like their strongest films in a hot minute, with Soul, Luca, and Turning Red. And I think the big part of it was just that those movies, they take, the Pixar formula, but you could see, as you mentioned, they're like being more playful and more inventive with the visual style. They're kind of differentiating themselves from like the Pixar kind of character mold, and they're making kind of more interesting creative choices visually and stylistically. And I feel like the last few films we've seen from Pixar have not really been able to do that in really effective or interesting ways. Yeah, you mentioned Lightyear. I thought that was pretty bad. I thought Elemental was basically a disaster.
Well, no, I mean, box office wise, like it started off as a disaster and it did make some money like over time. I think word of mouth spread for it, but I was not that big of a fan of it.
I'm talking as a person with taste in film. Yeah, I'm not talking about the box office.
I think it's just, that was a tough film to get through. I tried rewatching it I rewatched it for the Pixar Theory book and it was a slog, like in a way that a lot of the other movies aren't.
Right.
Even Lightyear, I was a little bit more fascinated by how bad it was, and I could just rewatch it and be like, man, this was weird. What a swing. But with Elemental, I was so bored. Like I was just like, I don't understand what happened here.
At the time, like I would say like Elemental is like better than Lightyear, but like as time has gone on, it's just like conceptually it just doesn't work in a way that these Pixar movies usually do. Like they just never got it. Like the Pixar magic is missing from it in a way that I just don't really understand. And I know it was like a passion project for Peter Song, and I know that, you know, he was trying something that was, you know, unique and heartfelt and personal. But anyway, this is not a review of Elemental. I'll save that for Film Roulette in my 2 sentences that I'm allowed to say. No, I think this movie, it really benefits from being able to be, as you mentioned, just a playful, fun comedy. And it has some really inspired visuals. I love the way these characters, they have these plushy eyes. Like at one point, like there's like a gag where like a character knocks over, like I'm hoping plastic eyes off a table, and it's just like all these like googly eyes are popping around, and it's just like, you could just tell that Daniel Chung, maybe not as to the degree as like someone like Brad Bird, you know, is like kind of bringing fresh blood, but you can tell that like his style is unique and that he's giving it something of a personality that I feel like most of the recent Pixar movies the last few years have been missing. And it just makes it for a really fun and heartfelt movie. Like I think it has its flaws. Like I think by the third act, it does kind of become a bit of a drag, maybe because it has to
It peaks
fall.
with the shark.
Yeah.
Like the whole shark scene is where like that should have been the climax, because it's one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Mhm.
And everything after that, like, it's not bad, but it never quite hits that same high again.
I think it just kind of has to fall into convention, and, you know, or it just has to kind of just like separate itself from the energy that was going with before. I don't know. For whatever reason, it doesn't hit as hard once like a certain thing happens, which is a shame because I love how much this movie leans into body horror at a certain point. And I have to say, I'm kind of impressed how much Pixar is able to put some like horror images in this. Like I felt bad. There was a young girl in front of me at the theater who like started bawling as soon as like a scary robot face came on screen. Like, I mean, Pixar, they don't hold back with this one in some respects. And, you know, I think it's for the better. I can see some parents being annoyed with how much this gets kind of weird and freaky. But yeah, no, I think this is basically like, it's like Pixar's like Pom Poko. It's like the inverse, though. It's about humans becoming animals and not animals becoming humans. But, you know, it has that playful energy. It's fun and really inspired, and some great voice performances. And yeah, I think it's exactly what you want from like a B/B plus Pixar movie.
Yeah, I think a lot of that makes sense to me. Like, I'm not far off in terms of, you know, what my grade would be. I think one of the reasons I was a bit sour on it, and even though I'm mostly like, I endorse it, I think that this is the kind of movie I want them to make. And it had a lot of things working against it for me, because I was like, gosh, another movie where like the human character is going to be an animal the whole time, right? Like Soul did this, Turning Red did this, you know. I liked how Luca, it was just like he's like the human. It's like the inverse, at least. But yeah, it over and over again. And we've seen so many movies like this from like Brave, and, you know, and so many Disney movies do this. But they did find like unique stuff to do with it here that overall I think works, and I think it's kind of fun and clever, and there's big Pixar theory stuff in this. I was talking back and forth with Tasha Robinson about this, because she was like so enamored with like all the different Easter eggs that show up. Like there's one scene and there's like 5 or 6 ones, and we were just kind of talking about the implications of it all. It's fun stuff. I mean, that was like one of the first things that like Melissa and I talked about on the car right after the movie. It was like, oh, did you like it? And I was like, I just can't stop thinking about that connection to this and that movie, and what this means. Like my brain was starting to hurt a little bit there.
I do have to push back on one thing, which is that you said this is about a character becoming an animal, but technically it's becoming a robot.
I get it, Will Ashton. I understand, Will Ashton. I know, Will Ashton.
Which
But
makes me
it's
wonder,
in principle.
do you think Pixar was kicking themselves a little bit when The Wild Robot came out?
Yeah, because I was thinking of Wild Robot a lot. Like so much throughout this. Wild Robot is a better movie, I
Oh, I
think.
disagree. I think this is better than Wild
Really?
Robot. Yeah.
I mean, I know I liked Wild Robot a lot more than you did.
I like Wild Robot. I think this is better.
I think Wild Robot's better. I think Wild Robot has a better story. I think it has a better beginning, middle, end. I think that this is funnier. It's got a lot more like wackiness to it, and I think that it's probably more accessible for more people. But Wild Robot, I think, is like
But no,
legitimately good. Like that's like a B plus, A minus kind of movie to me.
no, I think Wild Robot's more accessible to the point where like that movie I feel like kind of pulls his punches a little bit. Like that movie, like this movie has a surprisingly high
death in Wild Robot. I don't
No,
know.
I was gonna say there's more death in this movie.
Like, there is some death.
This is probably the
I'm with you there.
highest. This is probably the highest body count that any Pixar movie has ever had.
I feel that Wild Robot. I mean, it's built around like she raises, like she like murders this bird's entire family and then raises him. It's so dark, but it's okay. Say, I
No,
get what you're saying.
but like this movie has like characters like just outright like we know their names for like 2
Yeah,
seconds
but
and then they just die and they're like, what can you do? Which I like. That's what I'm saying is that's a plus to me. I feel like it's like it shows this movie kind of has like some balls. Like I said, like it goes into the body horror stuff at the end or towards the third act. I don't know. It just
do you
feels like
remember
this
the
movie.
audience? The
Yeah.
audience was losing it. Like when a certain squish moment happens, and they were just like, at first it was like this, like, wait, can we laugh at this?
Oh yeah. No,
And then
I was
what?
laughing so hard at that. That was so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Especially, and it's so dark, like, the reaction that one specific character has to it just makes it even funnier and darker to it. Man, it's so
Pond
good.
rules, flashing. That's pond rules be like that. Look, I don't disagree with you. I think I really like that this movie does what it does. I'm glad that both this movie and Wild Robot exist. I just thought that like, wow, Wild Robot really preceded this in a certain way,
Well, it did, yes.
based on a book too, to be fair.
It did precede it because it came out first.
Yes, exactly. But I will say, I mean, preceded of like this movie was probably in development technically before Wild Robot was, but I think the book was already a thing before. So I don't know. I mean, you could
No, I
do what you
understand.
want with that.
And I think most people are gonna agree with you. Like, I respect that opinion, and I recognize I'm probably an outliner. I just feel like this movie just had more spunk and more things going for it. And I like Wild Robot too. I'm not saying Wild Robot's a bad film. I just thought that movie was like a perfectly fine like B minus, and this was like a B plus.
The only other thing I'll say, yeah, because I mostly agree with like everything you're saying. These are things I like about the movie. I like, yeah, it has balls. It's just it takes some swings, and I love seeing Pixar in this mode. I think the thing that kind of has just been that got under my skin with the movie, and I wrote about this in my review for it on A Between Drafts. I think Pixar has in the past, like historically, it's been a studio that anticipates rather than reflects. And two good examples of this would be Wall-E and Inside Out. Because like Wall-E in 2008 felt like a movie that was predicting a future that like today feels immediate, but they were so ahead of things. And I felt like Inside Out was kind of similar. Of like the way it talked about emotional repression really shaped like cultural conversation around mental health in a way that just wasn't really a thing in 2015. This movie, I just feel like is such an artifact. It feels like the politics of it, the sort of message and how it's all threaded and what the movie's trying to say in a writing way. I'm just kind of, it's just like another movie. Like we've seen this before where it's like, gosh darn it, like, why can't we all just communicate more, And it does this redemption arc for the one of the villains, and then it tries to play it both ways. We're like, but some villains just are gonna be bad because we all saw Puss in Boots Last Wish. And so I don't know, it didn't feel like it was doing anything that new or different in terms of the stories. That's kind of where it kind of, it falls short for me a bit.
I get what you're saying. Like it does kind of you name dropped Parks and Recreation. It does kind of feel like, especially in relationship to how it responds to like politicians, where it's just like we just all need to get along and just kind of learn to put our differences aside. It does feel a little like, you know, second term Obama era politics a little bit, but
Because it does, I will say real quick, it really approaches it in
mhm,
early where Mabel voices some of that angst of like, I just feel
right.
like the things that I'm doing just don't make a difference. And it starts to play with that. And that feels more pressing. That feels more of the moment. But then that
Mhm.
disappears.
No, I agree. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, I kind of feel like that's maybe where Pixar, considering how much they gave Deo Chung leeway to make the movie he wanted to make, that kind of feels like where they might have been a little more like hands on and been like, well, maybe let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We kind of want something a little cleaner, maybe a little bit more, you know, for lack of a better term, family friendly. And I do feel like that's part of the reason why maybe the third act doesn't hit as strong as the first two, especially not as strong as the second act, which is really where this movie, I think, is alive and filled with fun character beats and supporting characters and just like these wild, uh, almost Fern Gully-esque like air politics of the forest and stuff. It's just really just inspired and silly and fun. And yeah, I can get where you're going with that. And I think that's part of the reason why it doesn't quite reach old Pixar or maybe classic Pixar standards. But I still had a really good time watching this movie.
Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. And speaking of which, kind of transitioning into Friends of the Show segment to see what our friends of Cinemaholics have to say about the movie, because what do we know? We'll start with one of the best friends of Cinemaholics, Will Ashton. Will Ashton himself, who gave this a heart on Letterboxd. And Will said in his review, quite possibly Pixar's deadliest movie yet.
I
And you
stand
gave it
by
a
it.
heart.
I mean,
Yeah. Like you said, big body count.
I was gonna say, I mean, you would know better than myself. Is there anything? I guess maybe The Incredibles is the closest.
I mean, Wall-E has like genocide.
Sure, but I mean that's like before the plot of Wall-E. I feel like in the film itself, I guess The Incredibles is the only one. I mean, Ratatouille has like a decent body count for Pixar. At least
Uh,
one major character dies.
Yeah, but it's off screen, isn't it? I mean, to your point, this one happens like in front of us, so that is a bit
Several
rare.
happen in front of us. I mean,
Yeah,
a number of them do.
we have another review here from a friend of the show, Matt Serafini, best friend of the show. He gave it a heart, and Matt said, "Absolutely loved this. They are so cute. I want to hug every animal." I mean, yeah, this is such a Matt movie. Glad he liked it. I had a feeling he would.
Yeah.
Let's see who else we got here. Oh yeah, Aaron Dicer, friend of the show, gave it 4 stars. Aaron wrote a review here. He said, "This movie is an absolute blast and attempts to say something really beautiful and important about how we find empathy for each other, but fumbles the message's consistency before crossing the usual goal line of Pixar emotional resonance. As such, it relies mostly on its wit and energy, and some stand out Moynihan awesomeness to succeed, which it does." Yeah, I agree with a lot of this. Yeah, that's about where I'm at. I think it's trying to do a message about empathy. It's a nice thought, but yeah, I think that consistency is pretty true, because there were times where I did feel like the message was conflicting itself here and there.
Yeah. I mean, again, I just feel like, I mean, I don't know how much pushback Pixar may or may not have given, but that just kind of feels like where they might have been a little more hands-on, perhaps, in their
Yeah,
approach.
tinkering, getting into the
Did you?
habitat, and
Yeah. 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 Blowing the dam up a little bit, as it were. Did you see the Dayon Chung put like some artwork, like a character test for the movie that like what it would have looked like in 2D hand-drawn style animation?
no, not at all. I
You
did
should
see there
check it
was
out.
some controversy, like to people who have difficulty with existence on the internet, were saying like, why does this Pixar movie look so AI generated? And I got really upset. I got really mad and angry, and I just had this feeling like we're so cooked, like we're so done. It's like, yes, the reason you think this looks AI generated is because AI it was trained on these movies,
Mm-hmm.
and you see a lot of AI junk on YouTube or whatever, and you don't know the difference. And it's so frustrating. I'm just like, the audacity, right? Where like these stupid like AI memes and things that people post or whatever, like they take from these actual hardworking animators who put so much blood, sweat, and tears to make this stuff. And then the people who actually make this stuff in hoppers, who do a really good job with it, like are being accused of like using AI in their production. Get out of here. Freaking trolls. Made me so
Yeah.
angry. Anyway, Ryan Oliver, I gave it 4 stars and a heart. And Ryan said, petition to give any roles, animated or live action, that Josh Gad is auditioning for to Bobby Moynihan. I like that a lot. I like Josh Gad in Wonder Man, the new Marvel series. I know when I say that, you're probably just like, it's like I just mentioned shoe shopping. You're like, well, okay, I can tune out. But Wonder Man was actually pretty good. And Josh Gad had a fun little cameo in it.
Doesn't he like play a meta version of himself or something in the
He
show?
does. So you watched Atlanta, right?
I like half of it. I still need to catch up on the rest of it.
Are you aware of the Teddy Perkins episode?
I didn't get that far. That's in season 2, right?
I think it's I thought it was season 3, but I could be wrong. But it
No.
basically, Wonder Man has an episode like that,
Okay.
and it's like very reminiscent of it. And yeah, that's where like Josh Gad has this whole thing. And it's a great episode of television. It's like it's just it's genuinely well done. I cannot believe it exists. I can't believe Wonder Man as a show even exists. But that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw all the ads are just like, "Hey, how are you feeling the superhero fatigue?" And it's like, "Yeah, because of all your stupid stuff." I don't need a show that, is like, "Here's a solution for it." It's like the solution is you stop making stuff, you jerks.
Yeah, there's your rant. I had my AI rant. You had your Marvel rant. Alex Billington had his Hoppers rant. Just kidding. He gave it 4 stars and a heart. He wrote a bit of a longer review. I'll read a little bit of it. He said, "Not my favorite new Pixar movie, but enjoyable nonetheless. One thing I noticed is how often Hoppers references other Pixar movies so many times. Not only the shark and the dog collar, but almost everything else feels like some sort of subtle nod to other Pixar movies, almost as if it was designed this way to make audiences feel comfortable with it. Since it's an original Pixar movie and not another sequel, they have to get audiences to feel like it's part of that familiar Pixar universe they already love. I mean, my pushback to this is like Pixar always does that. Like that's not new. Like the whole thing of like Pixar characters or like making these feel like they all can kind of be in the same place and the references and the nods, like I built a whole business on that nonsense. Like, come on. I think that that's a bit overstating it. Like it's an active decision, of like, we have to do it now more than ever. It's like, I don't think it's that aggressive.
I could get behind that, sure.
Wait, which me or Alex?
What you were saying about,
I was gonna say, I was like,
just
either way. I'm curious. Charlie originally gave it 4.5 stars and a heart. Charlie said this was the most a Pixar movie has felt like a classic Pixar movie in a long time. Maybe the studio's best since Coco. Easily one of the darkest and most hilarious entries. More Cartoon Network creators should come make Pixar movies. I definitely agree with that. I don't agree it's the best since Coco. I think Inside Out 2, I'm probably differing from you on this, but I think Inside Out 2 is better. In terms of the originals, I think this is on par with Turning Red for me. But I mean, Luca, I think takes the cake for me big time. I just think that's a very special movie to me personally.
yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I think all three of those that came out like during the pandemic, I don't know. I guess public perception is kind of soured on Soul, but I really like that movie. I think that's a fine film. I know there's some issues
Great
with it, but
rewatch.
yeah. Yeah, but I really enjoy Luca as well. I think the character design and the world building of it in particular is just so fun.
I mean, you mentioned movies that have balls. I mean, Soul basically was like, what if you just gave up on your dreams? Like, I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
love that movie
exactly.
so.
Right.
It's such a great, and also the barbershop scene in Soul. I just love that whole world that they created, and how they like realize and everything. It's just like, I don't know. It feels like one of those Pixar movies that has such a good sensory detail to it. But anyway, Corey Everett, friend of the show, gave it 3 stars. He said, surprisingly heavy on plot, build the dam, stop the beltway, and light on explaining or exploring the high concept premise, transferring your consciousness into a robotic animal body and the ramifications therein, but still cute. That's actually something I like about the movie. That it doesn't slow itself down with all the mumbo jumbo. That's one of the things I actually liked about The Bride. The Bride, a movie I hated. If there's one thing that I give it some credit for, is that a yada yada is the science stuff. And it just gives you what you want. I haven't seen Frankenstein, the Netflix for Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, but I heard that's something that movie suffers from, is they do way too much with like, how did we get here? Or how does this work? And yeah.
I mean, having seen Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, I don't know. I think that's kind of Guillermo's style. I think one thing that's fun about that movie is that you actually get to see more of the like creation process. Like you actually get to see like him making the cadaver that becomes Frankenstein in a way that I feel like other Frankenstein movies kind of like yada yada that. Where he's just like, yeah, and then now it's time to do the lightning. But yeah, I don't know. I can't speak on The Bride and its yada yada ness.
Sure. But I mean, do you think this movie should have had more kind of like, here's how it works?
No, I mean, I think this movie kind of toes the right line with it because it's like self-aware enough to like keep the energy high even when it's in exposition territory, but give us enough information that we like at least understand the generalities of the premise. It actually almost gets to the point where it feels a little condescending with the like brain like person thing. Like I don't know, it feels like maybe it was like overly simplifying it. Like you can put a little mumbo jumbo in there if you want to. But, I do appreciate the movie is like kind of one step ahead of the audience who are going to compare it to Avatar by just outright name dropping Avatar. And I can feel like Daniel Chung kind of making a character be like, this is not Avatar, because he probably had this idea for as long, if not longer.
That's a good point. And yeah, I thought that was like one of the bigger laughs like early on in the movie. People were like, oh. One thing we did mention that I think is something I did really like about this movie was I thought the location was nice. It's a place called Beaverton. I didn't realize that there's like a real place in Oregon called Beaverton. And apparently they like thanked the movie and did all this stuff because they're like, oh, great for our tourism. But I thought it was like a cool location. Like the way everything kind of comes together, the type of like town/city it is. And it feels like a good like kind of place. But there is one thing, I mentioned this in my review, and I don't think it's the fault of the movie. I think it's the fault of like how the visual style. Matt Serafini and I have had conversations about this. We kind of disagree on it, but I just because he really likes how they design everything now with like the curvy kind of like that curved Disney character now. And I just feel like everything is so high definition in these animated movies that nothing feels like implausibly imperfect. Like they don't feel like worlds where anything really exists. Like everything to me just feels so vacant. It reminds me of like video games in the 90s and early 2000s where we were just like starting to create worlds that felt like in a video game you could go around and explore, but they were kind of empty. Like they didn't have a lot of detail and stuff. And these movies have detail, there's texture, but I don't know, there's just something missing. Like I don't feel like this throughout. I never really felt like things really exist here, with the exception of some of the forest scenes. The forest scenes, I was like there. I was like immersed.
Mhm.
And for whatever reason, maybe it's because there were more animals, there was more stuff going on. But yeah, it was just kind of something that bothered me to some extent.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think it helps that the movie is so kind of playful with the visual style and kind of making the characters a little bit more plushy than the like Pixar mold usually lets them be, and be a little bit more like they almost look like those like stress dolls sometimes, where like if you
They
squeezed
look
any
like the
character,
plushies you would get at like the zoo, you know,
sure.
like at the gift shop.
I feel like so many of these characters, like they kind of look like those like dolls that if you like squeeze them, their eyes like look like they're gonna pop out.
Yeah, yeah.
They like kind of just look like that, and I like that about them. I like that they like kind of look like squishy and plushy like that. I think it adds to the style and the mood and the playfulness of the film. So I don't know. I think it's to the movie's benefit that they, like I said before, I think it's better when Pixar gets more inventive with their visual style lately, because I feel like that was one of the bigger issues with Elemental, is that they were trying to make these sort of existential concepts fit into the Pixar mold to the point where it didn't even look that visually good to me. Like it just looked like, I don't know, it was trying too hard to like circle square or square circle or whatever the expression would be. And I felt like this movie was a lot better about kind of, because like I think with We Bare Bears, like he has that sort of like kind of plushy style I can see from like even looking at stills of that show. And it looked like this was like kind of a nice transfer of that to the Pixar style, the house style of it. So I don't know. I like what it looks like.
Corey Woodruff says, the closest I felt to vintage Pixar since Inside Out. I'm not saying it 100% gets there, but at times it does. Delightful. I think Corey's delightful. I know you
Well, I
disagree.
agree with you there. Yeah.
I beat you to it. Kristen Lopez says Pixar returns to the simplicity of their storytelling. She gives it 3.5 stars. Toy Story asks us what happens when toys are left on their own, while Hoppers asks what happens if we could talk to animals on their level. It goes on to say Hoppers is one of the best Pixar movies in recent years, though the script does feel slight in character motivations. However, the delightful voice cast led by Kurta and Moynihan are great, and the movie is at its best when it's weird. Who doesn't love adorable critters? Definitely a return to form, if not an instant classic. I don't know if it's like the character motivations. Like, I feel like that was on point. Like, I always had a good sense of like Mabel's arc and what she learns and what she's trying to do. The motivation aspect of it wasn't the issue for me. I think it was just the layered messaging, and it didn't totally cohere, which I don't know if that really had anything to do with the motivations for me, at least.
I appreciate that, Pixar has done What If Animals Have Feelings, and they've done What If Robots Have Feelings, and this movie finally answers the question, what if robot animals had feelings?
Who are being controlled by human. So it's because that's the whole point of the Pixar theory. It's like the human animal machine merging is like
Yeah.
the whole thing. And this movie was like, hold my, beaver.
So does the professor's design pave the way for what we see in Wall-E and sort of that destruction?
Well, that's the thing. Because with Wall-E, because Wall-E has like artificial intelligence, it has machines, and it's always been an open question of like the Otto and like, why does Otto have such an evil personality? Now you can explain it by saying it has like the consciousness of a human or something. But the whole
Well,
thing with like the dog collar doesn't really work in the timeline, because Up does not take place like this. This has like phones with like Face ID and stuff. So this
yeah, yeah.
movie has to be after Up.
Well, no,
Up
it
is on a
says,
timeline. It's dated by the fact that we know how old Carl is, and we know that he was living in the 1930s. So it doesn't work that this would be before Up, but then it's a whole thing.
well, they do say this is present day. So yeah, it's definitely
Who's
firmly in the
present?
now. That's a good point.
Yeah,
But
for this to work with Up, yeah,
I mean, you have
I have my work
some
cut out for me.
leeway in the sense that one character, without giving too much away, talks about they have a lot of ideas for what they want to do. And some of those ideas might be what we see in Wall-E, I think. So
Yeah, there's a direct reference, and because like the Wall-E robots, like why does Wall-E have a personality? Well, I wonder if maybe there was a human consciousness in these robots at one point. It could be,
yeah,
but also
Fred Astaire.
you could argue that, not to go down this tangent, you could argue that the dog collar thing already exists, and the idea is to like make a better one. So it could be that this scientist already invented the dog collar, but has found a way maybe to expand it or something.
Well, I mean, if Up is present day 2009, it's possible that in present day 2025.
2007.
Oh, sorry,
You didn't read the book.
2007.
Well, it's okay. It's okay that you didn't read the
I
book.
read the book. Don't you dare slander me like that.
A lot of Pixar
book.
movies take place in 2007.
Yeah,
That's like
that's
a
right.
very important year.
I apologize. I misremembered. I did read the book, though.
I apologize for losing my cool and yelling at you.
All right. But it is possible that, enough time has passed that someone could be inspired by, the inventions of 2007, to be sure. So.
Well, I think the idea is that she already, like, she knows somebody, or she's the person who invented it. That's how she knows about it.
I think you have some fun homework ahead.
I will get to it. That's for sure. Anyway, so let's play the Rotten Tomatoes game and call it. Will Ashton, we have 152 reviews counted for this movie. What is your best guess for the Rotten Tomatoes score? One of them's mine. I liked it.
I mean, it seems like this is getting some of their best reviews, but I don't know if it's like everyone's loving it. But I feel like most people are probably at least liking it. So I'm going to say 92%.
It's actually a little higher.
Okay.
A little higher. It's 94%. So you were only 2 points off. Good job.
Dang. That was my guess, but I feel like I've done 94 a lot recently. So it's like, I need to back it off a little bit. So I
gotta trust your gut.
Yeah, I got to trust my gut.
Well, trust your gut with the popcorn meter, the audience score. We have 1,000 plus verified ratings. What do you think?
Just because I feel like some parents, if my audience is the indicator, they might be a little turned off by how weird and scary the movie gets at a certain point. I think it's going to be a little lower than the critics, but still high. I think people are still liking the movie audience-wise, so I'm going to say 89%.
It's also 94%.
Wow.
The critics and the audiences are on the same page. Your gut instinct applied to both scores.
Dang.
Who would have thought?
Yeah, I know.
All right, well, that'll do it for this week's episode of Thank God for Movies. A bit of a longer one, but it is a Pixar movie, so I'm going to ramble and whatnot.
I guess there's no cinema score?
I mean, we haven't been really doing the cinema score, Ashton.
Okay, very good.
For the sake of...
I think it's going to be an A-.
We can do it. You see A-? Nope, yeah. It's an A.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, you should have believed a little bit more. $150 million budget, by the way, I'm seeing here. And $88 million box office. It's got to make a lot more than that. I'm sure, it'll probably... I mean, the word of mouth is so good for this. I think it should be fine. Do we know what we're talking about next on the show?
Well, that's what I was going to look up. I was going to say that's a good segue, because I was looking up what's coming up. I don't know what's in store.
We could always get to Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die if I can manage to catch it. And then The Bride is the other kind of release that I've seen, at least.
Yeah,
Pillion, if I can catch it.
I would love to talk about either of those movies, or any of those movies, rather.
Project Hail Mary, I think, is the next big release, but also Ready or Not 2.
I'd rather talk about Project Hail Mary. I read the book. I want to see my friend Rocky.
All right, we'll tentatively say for now, Project Hail Mary is the next one that we're, for sure going to do our best to try to cover it here on Thank God for Movies.
We should bring on Matt Serafini. He loves the Phil Lord and Chris Miller guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always down for Matt to be on the show, but only if it can be a sneak conversation about the Muppet TV special that you refuse to watch.
Well, if we can get Matt on the show, I'll watch the Muppet shows, be sure.
No fooling?
Yeah, I'll watch it. It's like what, like a special?
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes.
Really? I thought it was like an hour.
You could have watched it thousands of times by now. Just saying.
Thousands of us.
Matt has. All right. Well, anyway, again, we got plenty that we can talk about soon. But for now, we'll call it. Thank you so much for listening to the show. We'll be back hopefully soon. From the Internet, California, I'm Jon Negroni.
And from the Internet, Pennsylvania, I am Will Ashton. Or am I a robot animal that has the psyche of Will Ashton? You'll never know.
You're a party animal.
Yeah, I like to think that.